Hidden Gems of DFW is a video podcast to help marketing professionals as well as newbies learn the art of marketing and finding the treasures that help a small business grow. This podcast will be filled with gems and treasures in the DFW area from some of the best guests in the business. And even if you are not in the DFW area, these treasures will work for you. And now get ready for the Hidden Gems of DFW podcast with Kris O'Connor. Hi everyone, I am Kris O'Connor with Hidden Gems of DFW, and I am so excited today to have you meet our guest. I recently met him about a month or so ago at a DFW SEM meeting, which is Dallas-Fort Worth Search Engine Marketing. And he was speaking to try to come to the state of search, which is a huge and a very large conference here in Dallas. And it's at the end of the year, November 1st and 2nd. I am running it, lucky me. Anyways, we are very excited to have Scotty Smith from CycleWerx here with us today to tell about his journey, his ideas, and I can't wait for you to see his treasure. It is so much fun. So Scotty, I'm so excited that you're here, and welcome to Hidden Gems of DFW, our video podcast. So tell us about your journey and who you are and where you came from. I know that you started out in the corporate world, and like a lot of us, we get frustrated with the corporate world and say, I'm done. Let's move on. So tell us your story.
Awesome. Well, Kris, I'm very, very excited to be here. This is very cool. Yes, I am Scotty with CycleWerx Marketing, and I have made a decision about probably 2 years ago to get into my own agency, have my own thing. I've been in the corporate world probably about 25 years, and through, like it happens so often through one of these layoffs or such, I found myself looking for a new gig. Mm-hmm. And so for a while, I actually did go out and look. But as we know, as you move up the ranks, there become fewer and fewer opportunities for everybody. So after meeting with a bunch of my friends, they all said, you know what, Scotty, you need to go. You need to go do something. We can tell you've got a fire in your belly. You're driven to do this. And I did. I've been doing this forever, and I still love marketing after all these years.
I know, it's fun, isn't it?
It is.
It just changes and evolves, and you just have so much fun with it.
It does. I love the opportunity to wear so many different hats, and I think it's so fantastic that I'm always learning, and there's always something new to learn, and there's always something to share, because so many people don't realize, so many people have a perception of what marketing is.
Yes.
And if you ask everybody, it will become something completely different. And for those of us that have been around for a long time, you realize, all right, you're probably only hitting on this little teeny tiny bit of what marketing is. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that I love. And I love being able to take the knowledge that I've acquired from all these years and actually help apply it to my own clients instead of just applying it to the company that I'm working for.
Right. So in your corporate world, you did a lot of the marketing for the companies that you were working for. So you were finding corporate world marketing different than your world marketing?
It is. It is in the sense that when you go out on your own, in addition to marketing for clients, you are now marketing for yourself. Mm-hmm. And in addition to being a marketer for yourself, you have to be a salesperson for yourself. Mm-hmm. And so you have to learn to approach things different and really expand what you're willing to do and the things that you do. Mm-hmm. So I thought about this the other day, and it just so happens that for the last nearly 18 years of positions that I've worked at, every company that I've come into I've been brought in we need somebody to found a marketing department. You're going to have to come in and do everything on your own for the first year. When you get it to the point you can grow it, then we can add staff. Mm-hmm. But every single company that I've worked at, that's what I've wound up doing. Mm-hmm. And so the thought of actually going in and doing it for myself, it's like, okay, well, I've done this. I've done this countless times for everybody else. why not? Why not go do this myself? Now, the downside, of course, is you're doing it for yourself.
Right,
and
right.
instead of having a big corporate sales team to work on and lots of other people helping you. So you've got to be judicious in your approaches and what you do.
Absolutely. And, it's scary being on your own. I'm recently on my own. So do I know everything? No. Do I know a lot? Absolutely. But it's exciting. It's invigorating. It's scary. And some days you're just like, ooh, why am I doing this? I'd rather just collect a paycheck and make life simple, right? I mean, just show up at my job Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and, life is good. But the rewards I have found are so much more worth being on your own. What do you think?
I do. I really do. It is the only thing if looking back, the extra added challenge of getting started during a pandemic added a lot of additional stress that really I could have done without. Like,
imagine that. Yes, I understand.
Like most people, but it's at the same time, it taught me to be a little scrappy and in my approach. And also I had to go out and learn things. One of the things that I decided to do early on is because I bootstrapped my own company from the get-go. So one of the things that I did was I had a lot of referrals early on. And when the pandemic started, I wound up not going out and networking as much as in fact, it actually all stopped altogether.
Right.
So I had all these clients I was working with, and all of a sudden they started drying up because I'm not out there doing the sales bit too.
Right.
So I had to learn, okay, I've got to start and do sales 101. Mm-hmm. And I actually wound up taking a fantastic sales class. And it reminded me when I came out of it, like, this is a big thing that I need to be working on. I can't do it all on my own. So I actually brought somebody on part-time to help me. Mm-hmm. And as I started going through the entire sales process and building out sales templates and sales sequences and a process, how do we manage deals? How are we going to contact people? What are all the templates? How are we going to reach out to people constantly? In building all that out, I realized along the way, I've actually been doing this my entire career. Mm-hmm. I've just been doing this exact same thing for somebody else.
Yeah.
And early on in my career, I started out doing sales, and I decided, you know what, I love marketing so much more. I wanted to focus in on that. Yeah. But in going in and doing this, and the fact that this person didn't wind up working out, but it enabled me to realize, you know what, I've got a lot of sales potential. I've got a lot of sales strength. Now I built the foundation. I just have to go out and execute it myself.
Yes. Well, systems are key. And I said that in my very first video podcast about Michael Gerber and E-Myth Revisited. It's so important, especially when you're by yourself, is to build your systems out, because when you do bring in people, then the systems are in place and they follow those systems. So it's well worth it. Even with Jerry and Allison, we talked about pivoting, right? And during COVID, because honestly, in the restaurant industry, they had to pivot. I mean, right. Or you were done. I mean, what else you going to do, right? So business itself has to pivot too. And so we all have to learn how to pivot or give up. And I'm glad that you learned how to pivot. I didn't have to pivot. I didn't start mine during COVID. It was after. Well, I guess COVID is still going on, but there's a lot more people who are out and about and life is living. But so with that being said, we are going to take a quick little break, and we're going to talk a little bit more about marketing and CycleWerx and give you a few little tips that you could implement today. So see you in just a minute. Hi, everyone. I am Kris O'Connor with Hidden Gems of DFW. I am very excited to be here with Scotty Smith today with CycleWerx Marketing. And he's telling us all kinds of great information about marketing. And right now he's going to give us a couple different tips. And I'm really excited to hear what they are. And I hope that you will be able to implement them in your business today. So Scotty, tell me what you're starting with.
All right. So many companies, when they think about branding, they think about, okay, well, we need a logo. And it doesn't usually go much further than that. Oftentimes they'll put a logo up on their website and they'll be done with it. But if you're in B2B, one of the things you got to realize is that you need to put your logo everywhere. You need to brand your message, your tagline, wherever a client could possibly see it. And so I actually brought a little example here. I don't know if we can see that, hold that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is something simple like a name badge with my logo right up there on the top. So if you are marketing for sales and if you've got a sales team, this is something so tiny because they're at conferences all the time, or they're out networking. How handy would it be for them to have something that says your name and your logo and your company name right there? But let's think about all the other places that you could have this going on as well. So invoices for your customers to see. So every time they're paying it, they remember that it's you. Making sure that your entire company has the same signature line or something close, and that your signature has branding for all your emails at the very bottom of it. In addition to company letterhead and making sure that that has it. We were just talking in the break about having a branding guideline, a logo book, so that everybody gets used to using your brand correctly. And so that you have one spot where everybody can go and refer to your logos or pull out the type of logos they need. They have the colors of it. They have the brand taglines, what can be said and how it can be said. And really think about every location that you could possibly have. You should brand all of your social media pages. Make sure that they all match. Make sure that they're very consistent. So the idea is that you have a very, wherever people see you, they're going to see the exact same imagery, the same branding, and help know that it's you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting because when I was working in the other business, when I would send my logo, they'd always try to redo it or change the color or do this or do that. I've got a client right now that another company is doing all their Facebook and IG posts and everything like that. And they started changing the color, the background color. Mm-hmm. And I called him on the carpet on it and I said, look, you know how important branding is, okay? Why are you allowing your employees to post this stuff with a different color? Right. The color isn't blue, never has been. So why are you doing that? And the hard part is so many people don't understand how important it is. Once you've got your logo and your colors, everything goes along with that. YouTube, thumbnails, all of it, okay?
Absolutely.
Instagram, Facebook, what else is out there?
LinkedIn,
LinkedIn, email, you name it. Your logo goes everywhere with you. Our technicians used to have it on their shirts, not only on the front, but big on the back, right? They go out to lunch. Somebody'd say, hey, I need my thing fixed, Hey, do you have a card? Can you give me a card? I'm sure you experienced that. I have many friends in the real estate business. They wear their name tag everywhere they go. Everywhere. I always ask them, do you sleep with that too? As a joke. But, they do. They wear it everywhere they go. Why? Because you never know who you're going to meet, right? When you're going to meet, and they might need your services.
Absolutely. And a consistent approach to it is so handy because it goes right around with, you want to be able to protect it. You want to do everything you can, and you want everybody in your company to value your brand. Mm-hmm. And if you treat people well, when people see that brand, they're going to think very highly of it. And so as a result, one of the things I do tell businesses all the time, it doesn't take long. Less than an hour, you can put together a brand guideline. Mm-hmm. And just, these are the rules, and share it with everybody and say, you know what, I encourage you to use it. Here's how you use it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And these little name tags, I know many people who make them. They used to be like $5. I'm sure now they're probably about $15. But if you spent $15 on an awesome name tag and you got one job, just one job, what would that be worth to you? And I know a lot of people don't like wearing these. I understand that. But if it would bring you one job, if you just work Monday through Friday, take it off Saturday and Sunday, right? Be incognito. But one job, what would that one job be worth to you with this name tag on? That's all I'm going to ask, right?
That's right.
So tell me what else. I know you have another little secret you want to share with, or treasure you want to share with our audience. Tell me what else.
I do. Are you ready to see the treasure?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
But there's another one in there. I'm sure you want to share with us.
I probably have lots of tips and tricks on it. So we were hitting on process earlier. So a couple of things I do want to mention is the value of creating a process for everything that you do. Make yourself so much more efficient, especially if you're in a marketing department. Go in early on when you're going in and creating them. When you're going in and doing stuff, it's so easy to become overwhelmed if you are a marketing department of one, whether you're doing it like on our own or whether you're a marketing department of one for a larger company. And I guarantee you, the bulk of companies out there typically have a marketing department of one. I meet with 600,000 to 1,000 employee. 600 people to 1,000 employee company all the time, and they might have a single marketing manager or a single marketing director that's managing them. I even met with a multi-million-dollar company, and they were just now thinking about adding a marketing manager. But there's so many things for marketers to do. You've got to find ways to become as efficient as possible at what you do. Mm-hmm. And so I employ you to find ways that you can add processes to whatever you do and add a little bit of strategy to make the next time you have to go do it that much quicker. Mm-hmm. That much quicker.
Well, and absolutely, because then you can hand that process off if you are lucky enough to have an assistant or somebody come in and help you, or somebody's bored at another position and they need something to do. You can hand it off to them and they're not going to have to ask you, 50 different questions. Right. And then what was the point, right? So the systems are really there for you to hand off to somebody else to be able to follow that process in order to make it work. What if you had a deadline and you needed to write 50 messages on Facebook, okay? How do you do that? Well, you have a file, you have an Excel sheet, you have topics, and you take an hour, you take 2 hours, whatever it is, you shut the door, you don't let anybody come in, you say, do not disturb on that door, right? You don't answer your phone, you don't look at your phone, and I'm telling you, in that 2 hours, you probably could get about 2 months worth of whatever it is that you need to get out there for marketing, right? Whether it's Facebook, whether it's whatever it may be. I found when I did that, it made my life so much easier and so much less stress in it. So I wholeheartedly agree. That was my system, is once a week or once a month, whatever works in your schedule, shut the door, shut the phone off. Sometimes it took me a little while to get into the sequence, because my mind was darting different areas. But once you start focusing, I had somebody tell me once, put a picture on your desk, right, of you, and what do you want to hear about in that message? And then I would focus on that picture, and I'd forget about all the other stuff that was going on to help me move and do what I needed to do. What do you think about that idea?
I think you're absolutely right. I think you hit on something key, especially for small to medium-sized business, is focus. Executives tend to be, especially owners of companies, they have so many things going on that they get moved by everything. I call it shiny bauble syndrome. Where they might have a marketing strategy in the place, but they're constantly persuaded because they want to see action immediately right away. Yeah. And all of a sudden somebody brings up, hey, maybe you should do this. And then they get distracted from what you're trying to build over here.
Right.
And it is so easy. And speaking about focus, it's one of these things that marketers know that marketing takes time to build out everything we do. But in the end, if you follow the procedure, if you follow the process, it pays off huge.
Yes.
Where, again, a lot of executives, they tend to get distracted, and if they don't see it work immediately, they don't want to hang on. So one of the things that I really encourage everybody that I work with is to realize marketing takes time, but it can pay off in ways so much more profitable if you'll allow it to work its process instead of keep diverting it or trying to change it up all the time.
Well, absolutely, because honestly, we live in an instant gratification society, and we want it now, but it doesn't always happen right now, right this second. Some things will, but the other thing that I like about marketing is you can repurpose a lot of your stuff for a lot of different things. You just tweak it a little bit, change a picture, do this, a few different words, send it out again. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I think that's what so many companies think they have to do is you have to reinvent, I talk about this all the time, swipe and deploy. You see something you really like that somebody did, swipe it, deploy it, right? Mm-hmm. Make it happen for you in your words in how it worked. And if you feel it was successful for them, it will be successful for you. I'm a firm believer of swipe and deploy. I mean, honestly, look at the major brands. Yeah. Do you think they don't copy each other?
Absolutely. I will tell you, one of the first marketing job that I had, the VP of marketing, I was working on something and he came up to me right away and he said, Scotty, look, we don't have time for you to go reinvent the wheel. Marketing is not about reinventing the wheel. Take other stuff, reuse it. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the best lessons that I learned early on about what I can do. And speaking of that, it reminds me of a tip that I encourage everybody to do if you're not doing this. In fact, most companies don't do this. Create a content calendar. I use Google Calendar. In fact, sometimes I'll just go out and I will print out 3 months of blank Google Calendar sheets. And I will write on there, okay, these are all the campaigns that I want to do, that I want to have planned, so that I know that I've got to have all my stuff ready to go out those days. Mm-hmm. But if you're talking about social media and redoing it, I look all the time and say, how many different ways can I repackage a blog that I wrote? Can I just, and here's something else that rarely people think about. Within your blog that you write or within articles on your site that you might have, you've got tons of little clips of that. Each one of those can be pulled out into their own social media bit.
Yes.
If you're going to write it, why not take a moment to do a video about it?
Yes.
There are so many ways, so many great, excellent ways that you can repurpose this instead of feeling like you're constantly having to write new content all the time.
Mm-hmm. And the easiest way to find new content is Google Suggest if you get stuck. I love Google Suggest. I was just talking about that with somebody yesterday on Clubhouse. And, people get stuck and like, what do I talk about? What do I write about? What do I? Well, you start typing in some keywords on Google Suggest and Google just tells you the rest of it that people have already typed in. Well, why don't you use that? The other key is looking at the bottom too, okay, of Google, because there's a lot of, at the very bottom of that page, there's other suggestions that most people will miss. Okay, well, guess what? You just found 20 different blog articles that you can write in less than 5 minutes. So I highly recommend Google Suggest.
That is great. And another thing along those same lines that I would suggest is if you own a company, you want to be an authority in that space. Yes. You want to talk about what you're on. Just like when I started, I decided I'm not going to be a marketer for everybody. I do marketing, sales enablement, and HubSpot solutions for B2B software and information technology companies. Mm-hmm. So I want to be an expert in that space. And I happen to be a marketing technologist anyway. So knowing that if I can go and write lots of articles or lots of thought pieces on marketing technology or how you use sales enablement to help in the software and information technology space, it helps Google, it helps people find you better.
Oh my. Yeah.
It helps you become an authority, a trusted authority in that space. And so people start looking to you for answers in that area, especially like in marketing and sales enablement.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important to be able to do that. So we have kind of like rambled on about a lot of different tips that you can use. Google Suggest, your name tag, processes, the marketing process, reusing. There are so many golden nuggets in this last few minutes that we chatted that I hope that you're taking lots of notes, and I hope that you're writing everything down, and I hope that you'll be able to implement just one, not all, just one. That's all I ever ask for, is just implement one thing that will help you grow your business today. So with that being said, our next segment, I'm so excited to share with you guys. We're going to take a little break, and then we get to see what's in the treasure chest. Anyways, we'll see you soon. Hi, everyone. I'm Kris O'Connor with Hidden Gems of DFW, and we are having a huge conversation today about marketing. And yes, we jump from one topic to the next, and it's hard not to when you're talking about marketing, because marketing can go in so many different directions and so many different areas of a business that I hope that you learned at least one item that will help you move your business from one point to the next, and that's up, not down. So now we get to talk about the treasure, our hidden treasure. So I am really excited to open this treasure chest, as you can see. And what do we have inside? Ooh, it's an elephant. Okay, so tell us what the elephant means in the treasure.
So, Kris, the elephant is my treasure. And so I mentioned earlier in our conversation about how I had to learn to do sales, and I was doing so many things. And I will say, of all things, my sales assistant actually told me something while we were working on something one day. He said, Scotty, there were so many projects we were working on, and he said, Scotty, don't worry about it. And I said, why? And he said, how do you eat an elephant? And I said, I don't know. How do you eat an elephant? He said, one bite at a time. And because of this has become my mantra for the past, actually since I learned it, for the past year. And it really guides me. There's so many big projects, and as a small business owner, there's so many things that we want to do and so many things we want to implement. And it is so frustrating because we want to accomplish that project, and we have so many projects on our plate that we want to get done.
Yes.
And if we will learn to take a step back and to break that project up into little bitty things that we can do each day, then we can achieve that project. And then suddenly the impossible becomes very possible. No, it doesn't become overnight, but if we really are honest with ourselves, we know that, you know what, it really wasn't possible for us to do it overnight anyway.
So that leads me to an interesting conversation here. So I'm a huge fan of Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, and I've been a part of their Own Your Own Future and seminars and everything that's going on. And he talked about last week, which is really interesting. He came on to his private Facebook group, and he started talking about, simply that. And he used the analogy of garage doors. Okay, so I had to laugh because how long was I in the garage door business? 16 years, right? I never heard this analogy before, but it's really a good analogy. And I think that if you can do that and separate, so let's say you have 4 garage doors in a row, right? Okay. So you have a list of things that you need to do in garage door number 1. You have a list of things to do in garage door number 2 and 3 and 4 and however many garage doors you have, right? Okay. So Monday morning from 8 to 10, you open garage door 1. And you have a list of things, and you do what you can on that list of things, right? And get through it. When it's time for that 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever you decide, okay, I wouldn't make it 8 hours because you're not going to be successful. You're going to struggle. So you have to make it shorter periods of time. So let's say 4 hours, right? 2 hours to 4 hours. You set a timer. When that 4 hours hits, you're done with that garage door or you're done with that project, right? So you close that door, you go have lunch, you go take a break, you go do whatever you need to do, and then you go to garage door number 2 for client XYZ. Okay? Then you have a list of things that need to be done, some priority, some not, and you work on that list and get successful and have 2 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, 20 minutes. It doesn't matter what the time is, honestly. It's just that you're focusing, again, there's that word, focusing, okay? You're focusing on what you need to get done. And so if you set up a plan like that for yourself through the garage doors, I hope you're all laughing out there because let me tell you, I laughed a lot. I'm using that analogy in my own business. And so I have found that since I implemented it this week, I have been a lot more successful, getting a lot more stuff done, and refocusing myself on the clients that need to be refocused on. So one bite at a time, absolutely. I totally wholeheartedly agree with that. Isn't that an interesting analogy?
Yeah, it really, and it's funny that he said the garage doors. That is hilarious.
I know.
That is
I know.
Very, very funny. But it has made such a world of difference in my life. And not only, this is not only just business life. This is personal life too. I had a goal, as most of us do. We have resolutions we put together at the beginning of each year. My resolution was I was going to lose weight. And I decided there's no way I could go like on a crash diet. It never works for me. Instead, I'm going to take it really easy, and I was just going to focus on 1 pound at a time. And I pulled off a ton of weight at the beginning of the year. So it was just that process and trying to apply this to the rest of my life. But really, it has helped immensely in my own personal business because there's no way as a business owner I can do everything that I want to do. I talk, small business owners, they get the shiny ball, has me as an owner too. And it's doubly hard, if not quadruply hard, because I'm a marketer and there's a bazillion marketing things that I want to do.
Oh, absolutely.
And so where do you get started? And we're back to focus again. And so the elephant helps you stay focused, helps you stay on target, and you're doing a little bit to contribute to your overall success.
Absolutely.
And it fits in perfectly with what I do and what CycleWerx Marketing does for its clients and in helping people be successful.
Absolutely. Shiny object syndrome is huge in the small business realm. Huge. Because we want instant gratification and we're ready to jump from one thing to the next when you haven't finished the first one, and then you're on to the next thing, and then you don't finish that one, and then you're on to the next thing, and you don't finish that one. And, our society has a lot of ADD, ADHD in it, which is bounce from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. So trying to focus sometimes for some people is hard. So if you find that having an elephant in your room, or whatever that object is. And the way I would use this personally, and I don't know if you do, but I would keep this on my desk and I would look at the elephant and say, okay, it's time to refocus. Let's stay with what I'm doing to finish whatever I need to finish. So with that being said, Scotty, I am very excited that you're here today, and we are unfortunately running out of time. But how can people find you, and tell me how they can reach you? Is there a phone number? Is there a website? Is there tell everybody how they can find you if they need your services?
You can find me all over the place. First of all, you can go to CycleWerxMarketing.com, and CycleWerx is definitely spelled differently. It's can't zoom in on that, but it's CycleWerx Marketing.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn as well, and you can reach me at 817-330-4042. And feel free to email me at scotty@cycleworksmarketing.com.
Awesome. Well, with that being said, marketing, I love marketing. That was probably the favorite part of the job that I did. I loved every job that I did at the previous company, But I hope that you have learned something today, one thing, whether it be time management, whether it be staying focused, whether it be using your marketing pieces, many different ways. What else did we talk about? I mean, name tags. I mean, we
Branding.
really talked about a lot of different things, branding. And I hope that all of this have helped you, or some of it has helped you. Or even better yet, it's just a reminder that something you may have forgotten that you said, that's right, I needed to implement that. So we're here to help you. I'm here to help you. If you need my help, you know how to reach me. I'm Kris O'Connor with Hidden Gems of DFW, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching and listening to Hidden Gems of DFW with Kris O'Connor. Don't forget to subscribe. Feel free to connect with me. I love hearing your successes.